Hello everyone. Alright, I gotta try to keep this video to 10 minutes. That's about all my phone will record with the resolution I've got. So, I'm trying to make this quick. This video is going to be an instructional video talking about ways to sand things and get this door down to bare metal. So, I cleaned it off real good with purple powder and a nylon brush, scrubbed everything real good, hosed it all off real good. And I did that after I took all the parts out of it. It was a lot simpler to get everything good and clean. So you do that, let it dry, and that's before I even started removing any paint. So then I come in here and I use a combination of tools. I've used this little angle grinder, and this little Scotch-Brite type roll-lock disc here. And the other thing I used, I just found it in my toolbox. I get these from Harbor Freight, and that fits on my angle grinder. They work really good about removing paint and rust, and they'll even get some grinder marks out of your metal. So I use them two tools and I get all the paint off in all the areas I can get. And luckily this paint is sticking good, and there wasn't any rust under the majority of the areas. The only place I found rust was down here in the bottom, all across there, and up front where the door hinges go. These areas here that I couldn't get the Scotch-Brite roll-lock disc in, I just took some 180 grit. I sanded that real good, and the same all up in there. So, the wax and grease remover, what I do is I take two rags, fold them up, and I get two more rags, fold them up. I get one really wet, and I wipe the big areas I can work at one time. And I wipe it all down real good, fold the rag over a couple times, keep getting clean spots and wiping. And then I'll dry that spot off with the rag, and then fold that over, get to a clean side of the dry rag, wipe it off, and I keep moving on. And we do that all the way around it. So that's what I did to get all the bare metal. Now, as I said, the paint was sticking good on this. And there's a lot of places where there's cracks and crevices. So I just took 180 grit and I sanded by hand all down in all those little areas all around here. And a key thing that you have to do to make sure primer sticks good, all these little places right here, take and sand it really good all the way around there. Just take your finger, take that sandpaper and rub it all around there, all the way around it. And these little divots, like where the pencil welds are at, you want to take your finger, take that sandpaper and push it like that and just twist it back and forth. You want to get all that sanded good. If you don't sand all these places, you know, paint's going to peel off. It could take some time. It might be 3 months, it could be 3 hours, who knows. But if you don't sand it, and you don't get it clean, your paint ain't going to stick. So those are the things to do there. And something my Votech teacher taught me a long time ago. He said on the edge of the doors, he said, take a piece of 80 grit. He goes, so some of these old cars you don't know, they may have been painted anywhere from 3 to 10 times. You just never know. He said, take a piece of 80 grit and take all the way around the edge and go down to the bare metal. Two reasons here for doing that. Number one is you don't know how well anybody has sanded the car before you. So you want to get all that crap off and make sure you're down to metal. And then when you get your epoxy on there, you know it's going to stick. The other reason is, all that paint built up on there, well, that fills up your door gaps and it gets wider. And also, like I said, if it wasn't sanded good, you open your car door up and you bump something, well, if it's not sanded good, it's going to chip off there fairly easy. So that's the reasons for doing that. And I always like to go inside here. I take all this down to bare metal. If I got a car that's, say like a newer car, it's only got one paint job on it, let's say like it's a 2010 Camaro or something. Well, no, I'm not going to take this all apart and sand all that, but I'll make sure that I sand good right past the lip there. I'll take the window belt molding off and I sand it good, and I'll go inside there, you know, about 1/8 of an inch. That way I know paint is going to stick. Then when I tape it up, I take my 2-inch tape, stick it back there, I roll it back a little bit. I'll take a piece of 3/4 inch tape and stick it away from it just a little bit and push it down. That piece of 3/4 inch tape stuck to the top of the 2-inch tape, you know, the two sticky sides sticking together. That keeps the 2-inch tape from sticking back to this surface here. Then you can take that and kind of roll it up this way and make a little loop, push against the glass, and tape that against the glass. And whenever you're painting, your paint should blow and get right down and behind there pretty good. And I don't suggest taking it down to bare metal in there on a car that's, you know, say like a 2010 Camaro, because if you don't get paint all the way in there and the doors on the car, it can start rusting there. So, you know, that's kind of a backup and punt statement there for that. But let's see what else I can think of here. I normally take the door latches out of here. This one, I tried and I could not get the door latch out of there. This screw right here is stripped, and I've got my little Ryobi impact drill, and I kept hammering away at it, and it's 18 volt, so I figured it's strong enough. It got the other one out, but I couldn't get this one out of here. The other door I think has been taken apart before, because the door skin on it has welds that look different than these do, so I think it's had a door skin put on it, and this one doesn't. But let's see here. Oh yeah, something else I was going to talk about. I don't know if the camera will pick it up. As you can see, there's a little line I've got scribed. It's right around there. Anyway, I done that because the door hinge, I had this door on the car and I got it fitting good. And I left the top hinge on there on the car, and this bottom one off. And to be honest with you, I don't know why I did that at first, but I know I had it adjusted right. So I left the top hinge on the A-post of the car, and I took a scribe and I cut that line in there. So I know whenever I primer it, it's going to cover it up some. But I'm going to guide coat this, so when I go to sand it, that line will be left there. And I'm just going to sand it just a little bit around the edges, just where I can see that line. Then I'm going to put my door hinge back on it and then bolt that down. That way I know that door hinge is right where it needs to go. Sorry the camera's not focusing because I keep waving my hands back and forth in front of it. But that's something I do with that there. A lot of people might put the door hinges, both of them, on the car and then drill holes in the body or something, or drill holes in the door hinge. And you actually got to do both. That way you can get it lined up back where you had it. But I wanted to make sure I got enough paint in here where I don't have to worry about it rusting anymore, because I didn't put much paint in there from the factory. So I've got primer on the A-post. I'm going to put the hinges on the A-post, and I'm going to paint the hinges on the car with the body. Paint the doors off the car, the fenders, the hoods off the car, and all this and that. So one more thing I was going to point out, like right up in here, that's not, you know, some people may not worry about that. Me, I'm kind of OCD about the crap. You know, I'm going to sand that in there. I haven't got to that yet. I need to get some sandpaper and sand that. But, you know, you just never know. Some people are like me. They take their car to a car wash and they'll wash inside and out, door jambs and all. And you know, you make sure you don't get water in the interior, but it keeps the car clean and keeps it from getting rusty and stuff. If you're using a car wash or a pressure washer you got at home, some of those things are 3,000 psi, and it's going to blow the paint off if you don't have it sanded good. So anyway, there's my little update here. I've got one little thing I got to do to this before I get primer on it. The edge of this door, I had to grind it right there a little bit to get the door gap right, and it's split. So I'm going to have to get some vice grips and clamp that, weld that back together, and then file it down, get that line right again. So there you go, maybe you can see it. But that's the last thing I got to do, so I'm going to get that welded and grind that, and then work on getting this thing a primer tonight. That's the update for today. As usual, thanks for watching. Like the videos, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel, and click the little bell to get all the updates. Appreciate it.